In today's episode of Welding and Wheeling, we are going to turn this pile of aluminum parts into this jet boat. So what is this thing? It's not often in this channel we start with something brand new, but this is a brand new 7-foot Jetstream Adventure Boats mini jet boat kit. Now this kit's been around for a little while. Jetstream as a company has been around for a few years. I've wanted one of these kits for upwards of 4 years now. I've brought it up multiple times a month to my buddies, and if any of them are watching this, I apologize. I'm finally pulling the trigger on this thing. So, this is a 7-foot kit, like I said. They sell a 10-foot kit and a 12-foot kit as well. They used to sell a 6-foot kit, but I think this replaced that one. I purchased this kit on Black Friday of 2024, and I paid $22.75 out the door and shipped to a freight house in my town. Now, you can have it shipped directly to your house, but I opted to pick it up at the local ABF Freight because I do not have a forklift at my house at the moment, and that's what they say you need to unload the pallet. So I picked it up downtown. I had it shipped from Langley, British Columbia to eastern Iowa. It was relatively easy to go pick up. I picked it up with my car trailer. They were able to lower it down from the loading dock with a forklift. I was a little let down with how abusive the forklift operator was in their warehouse, but I think my kit made it out unscathed. It was just a little unsettling to see how they handled other people's packages. Anyway, like I said, I paid $22.75 to have this shipped and bought to me. And that's pretty cheap. And that is because I bought it with a buy one, get one half off deal. So I actually bought 2 of these. Now my buddy Ryan over in Michigan is going to come pick up the second kit, which is actually this kit. And so we shared the savings and saved on shipping as well. Say that 5 times fast. I don't know what it would be if you just bought one of these on any normal day, but I would definitely try and hang in for a deal if you can, like I did. So without any more yapping, let's go ahead and start getting this thing tacked together. I should probably get it out of my basement first, though. All right, we got it in the garage now. A much better place to do some welding. On top of that, we put a welding blanket down because I don't want all the goop from my asphalt floor in the garage and oil stains and everything else to get on my aluminum. Aluminum's kind of particular about how you weld it. Anyway, let's figure out how to put this thing together. Jetstream has some instructions for the 10-foot and 12-foot boats, but none for the 7-footers. And on top of that, mine has the swim deck option. And furthermore, neither of the instructions have that in it. So, yeah, we're just going to kind of shoot from the hip, I think. Alrighty. So the first step is to set our transom, the back of your boat, all the way on the end of the floor plan, whatever you want to call it, bottom of the boat. You want to give yourself, according to the 10-foot instructions, a 1/4 inch. The 12-foot instructions say a 1/2 inch. Neither one of them include a swim deck. This might be something we have to go back and change later. I don't know. We got one tack on that side holding it. We got to go ahead and place our other one on the other side. Oh, nice. We just welded the tip. Now this is going to be a constant thing in this video. I do not like this Miller XRA setup for this exact reason. It does it all the time to me. By the end of the video, we're going to figure that out, I bet. At least I hope we do. I think we did it. What a concept. We did a tack weld. All right, our transom's kind of in place. We still need to tack down here, but I need to push this whole thing down to close up a gap. All right, we got our giant combo square here. That should hold it pretty square. You can only go off this edge because this edge is... I wish aluminum was magnetic. The world would be a much easier place. What a concept. Wow, I didn't even burn the tip on it. All right, so we officially have our transom tacked to the bottom of our boat. I think I'm going to just leave the carpenter squares there for as long as possible because they're kind of bracing this thing up right now. All right, now that I've got the transom tacked up, right there, we got to get the front of the boat pulled together so we don't have a big hole in the front of the boat. So we're going to try and draw it together with this clamp, which seems to be working actually pretty well. That was easier than I thought it would be. Weird. I thought I turned the camera on. I didn't, but we put two little beads and then two tacks in there. I probably should have started at the bottom and worked my way up, but we don't have too bad of a gap. So I think I should hold it. Now, this early in a project, I do not like to do any fully welding. I like to tack everything together and assemble whatever it is that I'm making as much as possible before I do any full welding. And in this case, it does come back to bite me in the butt a little bit because we need to pull the hull up into an angle, and this being a fully welded seam definitely fought me, so I would not do this yet if I was you. One good thing I did do here is I staggered my welds. I did like 4-inch beads, skipping every other space, and that kind of spread out my heat some, I think. All right, first welds of the boat are looking okay. I will take it. A little cold on the starts and stops, like that guy. But hey, I do not have much experience push-pull gun, spool gun, really working with aluminum at all, so I'm happy. Let's talk a little bit about what we're using. We have a funky setup, sort of. So I run a Miller XMT 304. I really like these welders because you have a great deal of possibilities for what you can run off of them. This will run standard MIG with a different wire feeder, which I don't have in here right now. So this is your feeder. You'll notice this is a big spool of wire in here. This is all just XRA, it's just your aluminum feeder. This is a push-pull gun. So you have one drive motor in here like a standard MIG welder, and then out here at the Star Wars looking gun, there is actually another feeder under that cover. Aluminum wire is really soft. It does not like to feed. This is a pretty long gun. You would never get away without the pull. You need to have the push and the pull. Anyway, we're running this at about 18.5 volts, and I think 330-ish. Yeah, that's another cool thing. Your wire feed is down here on the gun. Really handy. So yeah, that's our setup. All right, so our hull bottom needs to spread out and down, so the wings kind of need to open up. To do that, I want to get it up on my table and kind of clamp and ratchet strap it down, pull it open to get the dimensions that we need. Not really ideal. Somehow I got to get this big thing up there. It's not too heavy, it's just really awkward. So I'm going to let you guys sit on the tripod and watch me struggle. All right, now that we got it up here, we got this strap running across here. We're going to see if we can't make it more obtuse, I guess is what I'm going for. So here I thought I could check the angle of the bottom with the seat, but the seat actually does not sit down on the bottom all the way. At least mine does not. It sits up on the chimes and the side. So this is not actually a check you can really do. All right, not sure what's going on with the seat in here. We're not going to worry about that. I changed directions, made two little D-ring tabs here, tacked them in place or basically welded them, and we got them set up. So the next thing we're going to worry about is getting our keel, which is this little fella that runs right down the center of the hull, tacked in place. So we could set this in and see how far we need to crank. Also ground down the weld in here. Looks pretty good. I don't see any porosity, so I'm pretty happy with that. We'll weld it from the outside to make sure, though. So I'm going to set you guys up on the tripod, and then we're going to slowly and evenly crank these two straps and bring this thing up. And then we still have our strap going across there to keep that kind of wide down there. We'll see what happens. So these ratchet straps are under a ton of tension, so if you do this, be very careful. All right, I think we got it as far as we're going to go without killing myself by accident. Let's see here. The keel sits in pretty good. We could go, I think we're almost a little past because we got a bulge in the center. It's tight at the top and bottom, so that's good. I don't want to go anymore. These straps are under a lot of tension and scare the crap out of me. And when we release them, it's going to fling down a bunch, so any extra will be fine. I ended up having to add these 2 clamps here, try and keep it somewhat consistent. I don't know. I assume we're also supposed to trim this keel off, but I don't know where, so we're just going to leave that for later. So let's go ahead and get this tacked in here and figure out some sort of brace. All right, I'll admit a mistake so you guys don't make the same one. I was squaring up the transom off this side, nowhere near square. We were like 5 degrees off. Then I just stepped back and look, you can fit a carpenter square right in there, go flat to transom. So that's much better. To double check it, we also have our normally magnetic little angle finder. We zeroed it out down here, stuck it up here. I just clamped it in place because we're working with aluminum. And then we put a brace in there. We also went ahead and braced the cross side here to try and keep it out. And lastly, put a brace up here to hopefully keep our bottom from springing out. Now, there's going to be a certain amount of spring out no matter what when we undo these clamps, but hopefully not too bad. There's really no good way to undo straps gingerly. I am going to grab a mallet to do it. I have a friend who lost a good chunk of his finger trying to undo a ratchet strap that was around a tire he was trying to bead. So I don't really screw around with them under this much tension. Nice job. Oh, it's not that bad. I didn't see that much movement. Yeah, okay. Cool. This thing stayed pretty still. All right, those guys are done. What about this guy? Again, we got this spreader bar here, so in theory, it should be good. A little bit. So I want you guys to learn from my mistakes from this video, and here was probably the biggest mistake of the whole video. Now you'll see up front there, my brace, I actually removed it because it seemed like that's what the chimes in the bottom of the boat wanted to fit up properly. Now I think that screws us in the long run, and you'll see that when I put the sides on here in a little while. Anyway, we moved on to trimming off these front nose pieces, which I found to be very easy with the chime in place to kind of use as a guide for the angle we needed to cut. Oh, that's bent. Okay. We gotta hammer that back down. We got my dead blow hammer, which is quickly becoming a non-dead blow hammer. Yeah, I just broke like all the tacks holding this thing on. Nice. All right, I think the rest we can fit up with this thing tacked in place up here. All right, well, it took a little bit of bending. You can still see this needs to be hammered down a little bit. That's from where the ratchet straps were pulling on it and kind of humped it up. We got our other chime on now, and they line up decently. This one seems to be tilted down a little bit. They said in the instructions, though, the 10-foot instructions, this is, that the sides will kind of put these to the angle they need to be. So I'm not going to worry about it, nor am I going to worry about this little gap till we get the sides on, and we'll figure out what needs to be done then. All right, we got our, quite frankly, I don't know what to call these things. I think they're like spittoons or something. I don't know. Going out of sequence kind of what the directions say, but I think having these on here will help me line up the side, which is the next part. So we've got them drug in the garage here. I think this is going to be the hardest part of the boat build, kind of the make or break it. I expect this to take me all of today to get both sides lined up. So we just tack this here and here. We double checked. We're still 90 degrees on our transom. And now we just got to figure out how to hang the side up here. It's going to be kind of a lot to manhandle by myself, but I think I could figure it out. I tacked it up here and just down here to start. We got some gaps. I'll show you. Get you down off the tripod here. This is going to need some massaging because we're going to have a gap in here. And our side's a little further back than it should be, so I'm skeptical. This thing should line up. Your transom should have been all the way on the back of the bottom, so this thing should have lined up at the bottom. We're about a 1/4 inch off. I don't know if that's going to hurt us or not. I don't know. It's easier to trim the front than to add or fill a gap. So I'm questioning if I need to scoot this whole thing forward. So I'm just kind of tweaking it around. I went back. We set the end of the side up with the bottom of the boat, the end of the bottom. So we shouldn't run out of length in the front, I hope. To do that, you'll see over there I have my steel stock stand. That's for like holding steel and a drill press or a saw. It's kind of able to mess with the height of the side, and that was able to get me to line up back here. Our top of our boat is tacked up with the transom, and it's floating a little bit right now. Actually, it's floating off the stand down there. So we're just gonna have to go through and kind of push the bottom up, pull the top down, and zap our way up. I think we're gonna get right to about where it starts to curve, and then we're gonna stop and go do the other side. Come on, spool gun, you've been so good to me. So what do you do when you burn up your last tip on a Sunday and you have no others? You go ahead and hit it with the old drill. Got the old wire out of it and cleaned it all up. Let's see if we can continue on with it. I did order some, but they're not going to be here for a couple days still. We're on the other side now. So I'm running the heater. It's below zero today. I think it was -8 degrees when I woke up. It might be above zero right now, but it's pretty close. That thing is better than nothing, but it doesn't heat this building at all. And I don't run it all the time because I don't have a lot of propane. Anyway, we've got the seat kind of sitting in here. I tacked it loosely up there. We just pulled a really loose measurement here that our hood, I guess, will sit in. I think once I put the side on, I can still shimmy this around and get it perfect and square and all that. It's just you can't slip it in. You see it kind of tucks up under there. You can't slip it in anyway when the sides are on. So it's just kind of temporarily chilling there. We got our, what the hell are these things called? Let me look. The engine bay side lips. Now this is the old 10-footer Jetstream instructions. We aren't running a 10-footer, but I'm just kind of using them for a reference anyway. So these are the engine bay side lips. It's a weird name. This is also the, just had it. The bulkhead. So our bulkhead / seat is what needs to go in the side. Anyway, that's enough blabbling. I'm going to get this side tacked up just like that one. You already saw that side, so I don't think I need to show it. It's just a lot of fighting. And I'll pick you guys back up when we try and bring them together and see how horrible this thing lines up. Now, I would definitely recommend, if you can sucker another person into helping you, definitely take the help for this part of the project. Lining the sides up and trying to get them to fit up nicely and tack them is kind of tough by yourself, but it's definitely doable. One other unexpected thing I've learned with this project is that you need a wide variety of clamps. So it's kind of a good thing I'm a hoarder of clamps. I was using all kinds of stuff from pipe clamps to vice grip variants, friction clamps. You can see here in this video I kind of had a fake spreader bar going on with 2 pieces of square stock. Just all kinds of stuff to try and get everything I can to line up all throughout this boat build. Well, that's a problem. That is the problem. Yeah, we're not going. Oh, jeez. Holy. Yeah, a little bit of tension going on here. So we got this side almost worked all the way around. We followed the edge pretty good. Up here, we got a little bit of, we still got to work all through here. But I just wanted to get it close and see how we were going to match up. And not good. We're coming up short. Sorry, the heater's running. It's -6 degrees this morning. Anyway, we matched up with the end of the bottom there like we were supposed to, so I don't know where our extra length went. Maybe it has something to do with our top angle. I don't know. I figure worst case though, I can bring this in and touch like right there, and we'll trim these guys off. Your chimes. It's not really the right thing to do, but it's a possibility. Even the chimes came up short. So even though our boat is not lining up like intended, we are going to continue forward and see if we can't figure out how to fix our mistake, our issue, whatever you want to call it, our gap, to put it literal. All right, well, it's starting to look like a boat. Looks really good from there to about here. Not sure what's going on here, why we came up about a ½ inch short. I've got an idea, like I mentioned earlier, to put a tow point in here. Should work. I would love to know why. Looks like our angle's pretty good. We got a little gap on either side of the seat. And I guess our chimes aren't at quite the right angle, it looks like. I don't know. So that's one issue. The other issue, I should have welded the transom in. I only tacked it, and all the pulling and stress up front, I guess we broke our tacks back here. And then to fix that, I don't know if you can see in that time lapse, I just quickly ran 2 straps down, and I was just going to pull this down and re-tack it. But then it made this all funky, and that used to sit a lot flatter, so that's another problem. So the wheels are kind of falling off this thing and right this second, but oh well. It's my first boat. A boat is not an easy thing to build. A mini aluminum jet boat especially, I think. So I need to kind of keep that in mind. It's not going to be perfect. Nice thing is I have 2 of these, all of the other ones for my buddy Ryan, but I'm going to do a lot of learning on this one for me, and when we go to build his, it'll be hopefully a lot better. And who knows, maybe I'll sell this one day and build an even better one again. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Even if it's not perfect, it'll still go down the river, I bet. So we're going to keep adjusting things. I'm going to try and get this back down, get the transom welded back up, and figure out what we want to do out front. And that's probably when I'll pick you guys back up. So while we're staring at the back of the boat here where I attempt to fix my transom, let's talk about a question for you guys. What do you guys think I should name this thing? I got a nice little spot under the Jetstream boats there to put a name. I don't really have any good ideas. All right, well, I was just setting the camera off here. I had my weld helmet on, and I ripped my light out of the ceiling. Oh, there we go. Goodness. I broke that zip tie. That's why you don't hang your lights with zip ties, I guess. All right, we got our light helmet debacle sorted out. Back on the main debacle of the day, the boat. We took off a little sponsons or whatever they're called. I think that was a good call because we were able to get this thing, this and this were not sitting right. We got that right. We got this pretty good. It's a little bit good enough, I think. Down here in the transom, we got it pulled back up in the corner at least. But in here, we've got Gap City. I tried adjusting the angle of this, and I don't want to do that because this is still okay. We checked it against that, which will sit in here. I'll show you how that kind of sits in here. That guy sits right there, and it still fits good. So we're just going to deal with the gap, and it's a transom issue. I don't know why. I know why. Something about how I did the sides. No good. Because our transom is pulled about 6 degrees forward. It's not 90 degrees anymore. I hope that doesn't affect us with the jet pump and everything. We'll find out. And then we still have the issue up front here. We've got our gap. it's also a little uneven. One side needs to come in a little more. I think it's this side needs to come in just a bit, and then at least it's even with the gap. I don't know. So kind of moved a big step forward, but a couple steps behind. We had to fix some things. I would definitely recommend welding your transom almost all the way up when you start this project, when it's sitting at 90 degrees, so you don't have to, so it doesn't blow apart like mine did when I'm putting on the sides. That was a mistake. But I'll know for the next one. All right, well, the next natural spot to move on to, I guess, is the upper chimes. So I kind of want to see how these line up before I decide what I'm doing up here. These should be pretty easy to line up, I hope. So I already got attacked 2 spots, burnt a hole right inside of my boat, as you should. Looks like we got to pull up a little on that guy. That seems feasible. So this needs to go down. Ooh, hopefully it'll go down. Gotta get that clamped down. So we're just gonna, I'll put you guys on a time lapse. We'll just work our way around. Earlier in the video, I was complaining a lot about my XRA aluminum setup, and I ended up finding a big part of my problem was I have the wrong contact tips for it, as well as too much drive roll tension set on both feeders to start. Once I fixed that, it helped me with my burning tips a lot, but didn't solve everything. I would definitely say this project could be done with a TIG welder, but I highly recommend a spool gun or a push pull gun, at least for tacking. All right, so this chime is indicating our issue further. It was fitting up pretty good all through here. Looks good, looks good. Big old gap. I had to like shove it up there, jam it down, tack it. It's under a lot of pressure. Now we can obviously close that up, but that's not good that it's not fitting up. So I just attempted to set this guy up here, and it's looked good all back there till about here, then it's too short. So I think what we're going to try and do, weld up this chime over here, and then somehow we're going to try and pull our nose back up again. I think this is all stemming from when I released my straps earlier. I should have left the straps, but I was trying to get the chime to line up properly. So I thought I was doing the right thing, but I think I should have kept the bow pulled up longer than I did while we put the sides on and everything. I think that's where this gap came from. I think that's why we had a bad fit up here. So maybe learn from my mistake there. We'll see in the end, I guess. All right, I apologize, it's so dark. I got the garage door open to let some fumes out since it's now 30 degrees instead of below 0. We did trade that low temperatures in for some snow though, so that's cool. Anyway, we got the upper chime on the passenger side, or whatever side of the boat that is. I don't feel like thinking that through right now. We got to throw the top on the hood, and I already know how it's going to go. We're going to have a big old gap in the front. But let's see anyway, huh? Okay, really not as bad as I was expecting. Not good. That's flush there. Yeah. All right. So we need to pull these both back, I think. And obviously do some trimming here. But otherwise, it's kind of lining up. Hey, we got a boat. Minus the windshield, this is what this thing's going to look like pretty much. And the actual hood. I don't know why I called this the hood. Sweet. So I wonder if we figure out how to crank this back up to here, if that'll push the bottom out. And we might just be able to get this all together. I think we'll still have a gap up here, but that's easy enough to fix if we can get this to close up. So we got it all trimmed off now. So I ran a cutoff wheel and just made a nice straight cut here so both of these would fit up. They're centered to the hood or front cover, which is centered to the bottom. We got some tacks or some stringer welds put in there, and then we ground our chimes off. Now this is not the right way to do this. This is not what you should have to do. Somewhere along the line I screwed up. I think it's the angle of my bow. I don't know. hopefully you guys don't run into this issue because it's going to cause me a bunch of extra work, like trimming off this front cover and so on. But anyway, we're good up front now. We can move on to the next thing, which is not the windshield, but I wanted to put the windshield on here just for some visualization. It'll be the last thing I probably weld on because that'll prevent me from being able to turn it over to weld on the inside and stuff. But I just wanted to see what it looks like because we are coming to the end of the video. Check that thing out. Now, that's not sitting in the right spot. It needs some angle work. But, man, does it look sweet. Kind of looks a little bit like Donald Duck. The windshield is quite a bit taller than I expected. I don't know. It's all part of the jet boat look, I think. So, we took a pile of aluminum parts sitting in my basement that got shipped to me from Langley, British Columbia. I think it was Langley. It was British Columbia. I might be getting that confused with another thing in my head. But we took a pile of aluminum parts and we have a boat hull sitting on the table in my garage. That is sweet. So I would guess I probably have 20 to 25-ish hours into this so far to get a complete boat hull. Now, although it looks like a complete boat, it is far from complete. We have a lot of work and a lot of things to figure out. I don't know much at all about jet skis. That's what we're using to power this thing. I've got one behind the barn here, behind the shop, garage, whatever you want to call this building. And we got to rip that apart in the next episode, figure out what we can use from that, and start ordering parts. I know we're going to need pump. We're going to need steering parts. We're going to need all kinds of parts. And that brings me to my last point. So the whole idea of this build, well, is to build a boat. But more importantly, I want to build it on a budget. Every one of these I see for sale, like used, is like 20 grand. And I never quite understood it. So far, I have $2,200 into this kit right now. Now, I'd add another $300 onto that for specialized aluminum grinding wheels that I didn't have, tips, argon for my welder. We'll say $2,500 was spent on this video so far to get to this point. Now, on our next episode, I'm sure that price will jump quite a bit for all the parts we need to order. That'll also add in our jet ski that we used, which was actually dirt cheap. That was only $200. So anyway, that'll be the next episode. We figure out the drivetrain and that sort of stuff. I think it'll be a much more technical episode instead of just tacking stuff together. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, or if you want to build one of these on your own, or I don't know, just like watching me struggle in the cold in a small garage, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. I do answer every single comment on every single video. So if you have any questions or just want to say something, feel free. I really do try and respond to every single comment. So thank you guys for watching, regardless. And I will see you in a few weeks for our second part of our Jetstream Adventure 7-foot boat.